back to the Israel Ramos Show, where I try to bring up important topics in today's troubled world that we live in. And I try to address the issue of the topics that I discuss to the best of my ability. Today I'm going to bring up the incident with Chris Rock and Will Smith at the Oscars. Will Smith got up from his chair, walked up to Chris Rock, and smacked him right in the face. Then after that, he said, keep my wife's name off your effing mouth. He repeated that a whole bunch of times, even after he sat down. The people in the audience at the Oscars were surprised. So was Chris Rock. I gotta hand it to Chris Rock because he handled it like a real gentleman. I mean, if Chris Rock had an anger issue, he would have attacked Will Smith and it would have been really ugly. But I really commend Chris Rock for keeping his cool. I really commend him for that. But what about Will Smith? Did he have a right to do what he did? Absolutely not, because Will Smith should know better. As long as he's been in comedy, he's also a comedian, should know better that Chris Rock was there to tell jokes. That's why he was there at the Oscars. He made a joke about his Will Smith's wife, about G.I. Jane. I don't believe that Chris Rock understood that Will Smith's wife had short hair because she had a medical condition. I don't believe that Chris Rock was aware of that. Because I think if he was, he would have never made that joke. And Chris Rock is a comedian, Will Smith. He did not make that joke to degrade your wife or to put her down. And I think that Will Smith allowed his emotions to get the best of him. If Will Smith felt that Chris Rock was being very insensitive and disrespectful, and he couldn't control himself, where he gets up, walks up to Chris Rock, if he felt it was that important where he couldn't wait after the Oscars and pull him to the side and say, listen, brother, my wife has a medical condition. I don't know if you're aware of it, but don't use my wife in your jokes anymore. That's the right way to do it. You don't have to embarrass people, especially in a violent way. If Will Smith could not control himself, he could have, fine. If he felt he couldn't wait, he got up, he went up to Chris Rock, he could have yelled at him. He could have said, get my wife's name off your freaking mouth. But he used the word effing. I don't have to say the word F, but most people understand what I'm saying. He went up to Chris Rock and said, get my wife's name off your effing mouth. He didn't need to touch Chris Rock. He could have told him, could have went up to him if he felt could have controlled himself. Go up to him and say, listen, get my wife's name off your freaking mouth. Keep her out of your comedy. I don't want you to mention my wife's name. He didn't have to touch him. The question is, what is the Academy going to do about it? Because the Academy has to use Will Smith as an example that kind of behavior should never be tolerated. That kind of behavior should never be tolerated. Will Smith needs to be reminded that Chris Rock is a comedian. That's what he does. That's why he was up in the stage to crack jokes. And I don't believe that joke, the G.I. Jane joke, was that bad. And I also don't believe that Chris Rock was aware that Will Smith's wife had a medical condition. That's why her hair was shaved really low. I don't believe Chris Rock knew that, because I believe that if Chris Rock understood that Will Smith's wife had a medical condition, I don't even believe he would have made that joke. But the point is that Will Smith, I have nothing against him. I love his movies. there's a lot of things that Will Smith has said on the media that has been very encouraging to me. I don't know him personally, but I like Will Smith. And I'm not doing this podcast to badmouth Will Smith. I'm not doing that because I don't believe in that. But it's important for me to address the issue and to give clarity of the issue. But Will Smith has to be reminded that that kind of behavior, getting up from your seat, and it doesn't matter how famous you are, you have no right to put your hands on somebody. The Academy, the Oscars, have to discipline Will Smith. And Will Smith, I'm not saying this to put you down, but there has to be set an example that that kind of behavior will not be tolerated, not only in the Oscars, anywhere. Nobody has a right to go up to somebody and put their hands on them. Violence doesn't solve anything. Absolutely nothing. So I got to hand it also to Chris Rock in the way he handled it. Because most people, if they were in Chris Rock's situation, they would have let their pride get the best of them. And they would have reacted to that. Especially if they had anger issues. I don't want to badmouth anymore, but I know a couple of comedians that have anger issues that would have never tolerated that from Will Smith and would have struck him back. And it would have turned really ugly. So I got to commend Chris Rock for keeping his cool and taking that slap from Will Smith. I really got to commend him. So, I mean, what discipline should be taken from Will Smith? Some people have asked me, well, should they take the Oscar from him? Absolutely not. Because Will Smith winning an Oscar has nothing to do with disciplining him. You should never remove what a person has earned. Will Smith has worked really hard to be where he is today. And I have a lot of respect for Will Smith. I like Will Smith. I can give constructive criticism about a person without bashing them. Especially if Will Smith is not here to defend himself. See, that's the problem what I have with a lot of talk show hosts, where they go around and they badmouth people when the person is not there to defend themselves. It's wrong. They should man up. You got something to say to somebody, invite them to your show. Don't badmouth him and criticize him if he or she is not there to defend themselves. I will never do that because I want to be fair and I don't want to bash anybody. Like Elvis Presley said when they asked him about another singer and they were being pretty critical in the question they were asking. And Elvis Presley said, I don't want to criticize any other entertainer because I'm an entertainer myself. And I agree with him. And that's why we have to be careful we don't get into political debates with people or religious debate, because some people just get out of hand. They get very violent. But not to get off the issue, I really got to hand it to Chris Rock and the way he dealt with the situation. He kept his cool, man. That's power. He didn't let his anger get the best of him, because most people would have reacted because his pride was hurt. I mean, get a slap in the face is not an easy thing to take, especially from another man. Like I could take a slap from a girl because I'm a martial art fighter. I'm a very good martial art fighter, even though I keep it very private, very secretive, because I do my talking in the ring. You can brag all you want. What matters is what you do. The point is that Chris Rock gave a great example to a lot of comedians. Keep your cool. He kept his cool. Does Will Smith owe Chris Rock an apology? You better believe he does. Because it takes a man to admit where he's wrong. It takes a man to admit when he's wrong. And Will Smith, no disrespect to you, I like you like I said, but you owe Chris Rock a public apology. Why public? Because you went out of your way to humiliate the guy publicly because of a joke that he said that really wasn't that serious. He wasn't making fun of your wife's medical condition, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that your wife has a medical condition. I pray and I hope that it goes away, disappears, never comes back. I really am sorry that I hope she gets better 100%. I wish the best for your family, Will Smith. I think you're an incredible guy. But you owe Chris Rock an apology because you humiliated the guy. You disrespected the guy. The guy is a comedian. That's what he gets paid to do, Will Smith. He owes him you owe him a public apology, whether you want to do it or not. This is my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. Everybody has a right to disagree. But just because we disagree doesn't give us the right to disrespect the person that disagrees with us. Because people that don't receive constructive criticism will never grow. I love it when people care enough about me to say, hey, Israel, I want to point something out to you. But they should do it respectfully. Don't embarrass me. If you're going to correct somebody, do it discreetly. Don't disrespect people. It's wrong. It's out of line. Now, going back to the question, how should the people who are in charge of the Oscars discipline Will Smith as an example to other people that try to do it again? And Will Smith is lucky that Chris Rock did not press charges against him because he could have done it, and he didn't do it. That's two things he did. He kept his cool, and he didn't press charges against Will Smith because no actor or famous football player, basketball player, athlete is above the law. That has been proven when they put Mike Tyson in jail. The problem with Mike Tyson is that, and I'm glad he admitted it, and I like Mike Tyson, is that Mike Tyson, he was a great fighter, and he was knocking people out. But the reason Mike Tyson kept getting into trouble is because he still had that ghetto mentality. And you're not going to be able to continue in your success if you still carry that ghetto mentality. If you still you let your ghetto mentality, the way you think, the way you used to think, that's very ghetto, to do things. And Mike Tyson would just let his anger get the best of him. He would just fly off the handle. And that got him in trouble to the point where he wound up in jail. But I love listening to Mike Tyson. I love what he has become. I am really, really sorry that he's lost his little baby girl, his little girl. I even was in tears when I saw the interview and when he sometimes brings it up. Mike Tyson has become this dynamic, incredible man. Because he cries. I mean, it takes a real man to shed tears. Any man that says a real man don't cry has a lot of growing up to do. Because it takes a real man to admit when you're wrong and to cry. It's good to cry, actually. So I love to hear Mike Tyson talk. But not to get off the issue, what discipline should the people who are in charge of the Oscars take to set an example that violence will not be tolerated? Not just in the Oscar, anywhere. I believe, this is my opinion, maybe they shouldn't allow Will Smith to appear in 2 academies. Should Will Smith go to jail for what he did to Chris Rock? No, absolutely not. Because it's a slap in the face. As long as Chris Rock is not willing to press charges to Will Smith, I don't believe that Will Smith should go to jail for that. Chris Rock is a real man not to press charges against Will Smith. But Will Smith owes that man an incredible apology because that man handled that situation in an incredible way. He's a great example, not only to comedians, but to any celebrity out there should learn from Chris Rock. That he's not just a comedian, but he's an incredible dynamic person. Because he showed that you don't have to fly off the handle because you get slapped in the face. It takes a real man to take a slap in the face and keep your cool, man. Violence doesn't solve anything. Now, I could understand if Will Smith kept pursuing him and he just smacked him and then he tried to hit him again, then at that point, Chris Rock had to defend himself. Because after somebody smacks you once and they try to do it again, at that point, they went beyond their limits. then you need to defend yourself. Stand your ground. There's a law. When I used to be a security officer, stand your ground. You have a right to defend yourself. It doesn't matter who attacks you. It could be the President of the United States. You have a God-given right to defend yourself. You should not allow anybody to kick the shit out of you, to beat you up. That should never be tolerated. Defend yourself. So this is what I believe. I believe that the people in charge of the Oscars should not allow Will Smith maybe not to appear either in one Oscars or maybe two. It's up to them. But yeah, Will Smith should not do time for that, especially when Chris Rock is not willing to press charges. I mean, these guys are friends, man. And even if they weren't friends, it's good to forgive people. That's important. You know, I really believe in the Bible, and Jesus said, if you don't forgive others when they do you wrong, especially if they're sorry, they have to be sorry, of course, then I will not forgive you when you do bad things. We should treat others the way we want to be treated. This is the way I try to live my life. You know, if I don't like to be criticized, I do my best not to criticize people. I try to keep it constructive criticism. That's why people that don't receive constructive criticism will never grow. I mean, anybody could point fingers, but why don't you look at yourself? Take responsibility for yourself. Yes, I am sorry that Will's wife was uncomfortable with what Chris Rock said to her, Jada, Will Smith's wife, because I know she knew that she has a medical condition. I don't know if Chris Rock knew. I don't think he did. But the point is that yes, Will Smith should be disciplined, and they need to set an example that violence, that kind of behavior, violence, will not be tolerated anywhere, not just the Oscars. And I hope that Will Smith and Chris Rock really make peace with each other, let this go behind them, and that Will Smith will make a public apology to Chris Rock, because he publicly humiliated him, so he should publicly undo what he did. And I hope that Will Smith learned that violence doesn't solve anything, my friend. Now, I could understand if somebody physically is threatening you, and I'm a martial art fighter, like I said, physically threaten you, you know, then you have no right. Then you have no choice. Then you have no choice but to defend yourself. This is why I believe people should learn how to defend themselves. You learn how to fight, so you don't have to fight. See, when you know how to defend yourself, you know how to put the person down right away without killing them. But when you don't know how to defend yourself, you lose control, especially if you have anger issues. You could really, because you know, people that let their anger get the best of them are not aware for that minute the damage that they could do to somebody, especially if that person is physically strong. But someone who learns martial art learns discipline. See, someone can attack me, and I will allow them to attack me. Come to me. But you have to, in order for you to hurt me, you have to come to me. And I won't hurt the person. I'll pin them down. That's the beauty of learning how to defend yourself. You know, the beauty of the martial art. Martial art is meant to learn for you to have discipline. So that's basically it. I just wanted to give a little clarity about the Oscars. I don't think that people should go around badmouthing and bashing Will Smith. Nobody's perfect. We should have no right to act like Will Smith killed the guy. He made a mistake, man. We all make a mistake. That's why I do my best to treat people the way I want to be treated. And it's good to forgive, because nobody's perfect. But we should take responsibility for the things that we do. And I hope that I'm pretty sure he has. You know, Will Smith has taken responsibility. Some of the things that were said, that on Twitter, he apologized, but I think it should be a public apology, because he humiliated the guy publicly. You know, and It's important to forgive, especially if the person is really sorry for what they did to you. It's important to forgive because it's nice to be forgiven. But people need to take responsibility for the choices that they make, because the problem with some people is the choices that they make is they don't think of the consequences. We need to think of the consequences. That's why it's so important for us to take responsibility for the things that we should do and we shouldn't do, the things that we should say and the things that we shouldn't say. It's very, very, very important. And that's basically it. I hope that today's podcast was helpful to you. I hope I gave enough clarity to cover everything, and I hope that Will Smith and Chris Rock and Will Smith's wife, they all make peace with each other. But remember, Will Smith, Chris Rock is a comedian. He was doing a job. If you couldn't control your anger, you could have went up to the guy and you could have yelled at him. You didn't need to put your hands on him. You were way out of line when you did that. You crossed the line. Violence doesn't solve anything. And again, I commend Chris Rock for keeping his cool. And that's basically it. I hope that today's podcast has been helpful to you. And until next time, where I try to bring up important topics in today's troubled world, and I try to address the issue to the best of my ability. Until next time, bye-bye. Bye-bye.